Welcome back to UGA Sailing on YouTube. In this video, we're covering how to rig a Flying Scot. Let's get started. Before anything else, put down your blades. Too often you'll get the sails up and think you're ready, but then immediately start side slipping as soon as you leave the dock because your centerboard isn't down. To combat that, take care of it first thing. Push down the swinging rudder and secure it, then make your way to the center of the cockpit of the Scot. Locate a long, coiled line cleated down on the centerboard trunk. Uncleat it and ease it out. Easing the line will bring the centerboard down. Make sure the tracks are clear for the centerboard wheels to roll without hiccup, or else you risk getting lines tangled under heavy centerboard wheels. When the line is at its end and the wheels have descended the hull, your centerboard is successfully engaged and ready to do its job. Undo the sail cover fasteners by turning them horizontal. Fold the sail cover to preserve it and also to help the de-rigging process go smoother at the end of your sailing session. Locate the head of the mainsail and set it aside at the ready. Next, find the winch crank located just below the deck line of the boat at the base of the mast. It's shaped like two L's put together, but the ends are different. One end is rounded, and that's your handle. The other end has a square peg shape. That side goes into the halyard winch and will be used to hoist the sails. Insert the square peg side of the hand crank into the bottom of your two halyard winch options. You'll need to release the tension on the main halyard from its de-rigged position in order to attach it to the head of the mainsail. To keep the halyard in the desired position, a pawl is used to hold it in place when de-rigged or rigged. To dislodge the main pawl, crank forward slightly just until the pawl swings out. From there, you can gently crank backwards about 6 inches worth just to get enough slack to allow your partner to get the other end of the halyard from the front of the mast. It's very important to not let unlimited slack fly out without care because the wire can easily get tangled inside the winch if it has too much slack. Find the end of the main halyard on the front of the mast and undo the shackle to release it from its holding place. Attach the shackle to the head of the mainsail that you located and set aside earlier. Look up to the top of your mast and ensure that the halyard isn't tangled and will get to the top without holdups. Take it an arm's length away from the mast a few times to ensure it's clear and ready to go. Have one person feed the reinforced luff of the mainsail into the track of the mast as the other raises the sail via the hand crank in a forward motion. Before it's all the way up, make your way to the stern of the Scot and remove the boom from the boom crutch. Take the boom crutch out of the transom and stow it below deck in a safe holding place. Set the boom carefully on the deck and make sure it doesn't scratch the Scot. If your conditions are particularly windy, make sure your boat is pointing into the wind and that you have someone holding the boom to prevent it from slamming around and damaging your hull. From here, finish raising your sail the rest of the way. When the sail is up and the tension is as desired, find the pawl that you released earlier and bring it back up into a slot to anchor it down. Crank backward about 1/8 of an inch to feel the winch rest on the pawl and remove the crank. Stow your hand crank momentarily in its previous holding place. Oh boy, would you look at that, our scenery has suddenly changed. Our friend from Jacksonville University helped us out with this shot because the camera girl, me, forgot to hit record on this segment back at Lake Lanier. But, you know, everyone makes mistakes. It's fine. We're moving on. So now back on track here, we're going to locate your jib and bring it to the bow of the Scot. Find the tack of the jib and attach it to the bow shackle like so. Snap the luff of the jib around the forestay at its staggered locations, working from the bottom up. Release the jib halyard the same way as before. Forward slightly, backward slowly, and just enough to release tension on the halyard. Attach the halyard to the head of the jib and get ready to hoist it. To keep your wires straight as it wraps, have one person keep gentle resistance on the jib as it gets raised. This sail is easier to hoist, so it'll be tempting to fly through the cranking process, but you'll risk tangling your line. Take it slow and give it some resistance on the other end. Swing the pawl up just as before to lock the halyard into place, cranking backward about 1/8 of an inch to feel the halyard rest on the pawl and remove the crank from the winch. Then put it back in its holding place. Aha, you may have noticed we're in a different weather situation. Yes, it's a couple of weeks later, and we realized we did this next part incorrectly in our first take. So now we are in the rain, rigging our jib sheets correctly this time. Again, everybody makes mistakes, okay? It's fine. There are 2 jib sheets attached to the clew of the jib. Direct one to each side of the Scot, feed it through the jib lead from the outside to the inside of the forwardmost block, and tie a stopper knot. And those would be our friends at Georgia Tech and Tulane University who helped us out to reshoot this. Thank you very much, guys. Next, locate your cunningham coming from the port side of the base of the mast, feed it through the grommet on the sail located about a foot up from the boom, and cleat it down on the starboard side of the mast. Tie a stopper knot to help you sleep easy at night. The knot really isn't necessary, but it never hurts. And with that, you are ready to set sail. Make sure your main sheet is uncoiled and free to ease, go over your departure checklist, and push off from the dock. As stated in our 420 rigging video, there are plenty of variations between specific boats. This video covers the boats that our program uses at our practice facilities, but there may be some differences in your Scot. As always, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.